Blissey holds a unique distinction in the competitive battling community. Those who use it love it for its incredible and oftentimes unbreakable defenses. Those who don't hate it and everything it stands for, usually because they have a hard time bringing it down. Whatever side you stand on, knowing its roles and counters is paramount to having or beating a successful Blissey. Throughout the rest of the video, I'm going to use the term Special Attacker frequently. For the sake of simplicity, Special Attacker in this case refers to Pokemon that use special attacks for their offense. It doesn't refer to special attacking Pokemon that also carry physical attacks, something many of them do solely in order to beat Blissey, but it refers strictly to attackers that only use their special attack stat. Note the asterisk next to Keldeo and Alakazam. Because Secret Sword and Psyshock hit physical defense, these Pokemon don't exactly fall into this category either. That should clear it up, but if it doesn't, just think of it as any special attack you use that isn't specifically Secret Sword or Psyshock. So, what does Blissey do, you might ask? Well, Blissey is the special wall. Notice I said the and not a. Blissey's special defense is so legendary that using any special attack against it is basically useless, thanks to its mountainous hit points and great special defense. This is not a challenge, by the way. I'm not like saying, I dare you to beat Blissey with a special attack or anything. You just don't. Run the calculations. Any non-boosting special attacker is totally hopeless against it. Check this out. A special attacking Deoxys A, full EVs in special attack and modest while holding choice specs and using Psycho Boost will do a max of 61% damage against a Blissey with a bold nature and no investment in special defense at all. After the special attack drop, this will never result in a 2-hit KO as long as Blissey was sufficiently healthy when the attack started. Like, are you for real? Modest Porygon Z with Life Orb after 2 Nasty Plots still won't one-shot it. Nasty Plot Lucario won't even one-shot it with a stab, super effective Aura Sphere after a boost. Realistically, battlers who use Blissey would never allow a full setup like that anyway, so attempting to boost up might end up costing you, if you're not careful. So, special attacks don't beat it. Alright, we've covered that. What about the standard wall break tactic then, Toxic? Well, Blissey also happens to have Natural Cure, so any status it suffers will disappear the instant its trainer calls it back. Unless Blissey is your opponent's final Pokemon, Toxic stalling basically amounts to wasted turns you could be using to switch around and set up for a more favorable matchup instead. There's only one reliable way to beat Blissey. Hit it physically. Its physical defense is terrible. It's so bad, in fact, that most people who use Blissey don't even bother training it in special defense at all, and instead focus all their energies on the physical side. Doing so gives Blissey a much greater utility and allows it to tank a much greater number of attacks, but it is still vulnerable on the physical side. Fighting attacks are obviously the best choice due to Blissey's weakness to them, but any sufficiently powerful physical attack will do. That being said, just the existence of Blissey as a possible choice for your opponent means that I highly recommend having some kind of strong physical fighting attack somewhere on your team. It doesn't have to be on a fighting Pokemon necessarily, just having a Pokemon around that carries Close Combat or Cross Chop or Drain Punch or Superpower is basically a necessity, or you'll find yourself helpless against Blissey. Even Superpower has its drawbacks though. Because of the stat drops, you'll need to be careful if you rely on it, on your Scissor for instance. Continuing on this example, if you do find your Scissor up against a Blissey, you're probably better off abusing its stab U-turn and switch into a different physical attacker to finish the job, than using Superpower and risking some nasty stat drops on your opponent's inevitable switch. Alright, enough about how to beat it. I wanted to emphasize the unbelievable endurance Blissey has, but it's really quite simple. Just use physical attacks and you're good. So, now you can counter it, but what if you want to use it on your team? Who pairs well with it? Realistically, just about anything. Because it single-handedly walls an enormous percentage of the Pokemon out there, it can fit basically anywhere. Really good teammates for it, though, are ones that keep it safe. Physical tanks that laugh at fighting attacks are natural teammates. The most notable of these are Gliscor, Reuniclus, and Dusclops, but basically any physical wall will do. Another fantastic teammate is Wobbuffet. Wobbuffet resists fighting and can come in and trap your opponent's primary Blissey counter and finish them off. Plus, Blissey's helpful nature allows Wobbuffet to have much more success if Blissey carries moves like Aromatherapy or the elusive but fantastic Wish. Other good teammates for Blissey include Pokemon that can spread or prevent entry hazards. Donphan, Fortress, and Tentacruel are great choices because of the various hazards you can use to rack up damage on the inevitable switches that Blissey will force. Plus, all three of them have Rapid Spin to keep your side clear from hazards as well. Also, Volt Turn abusers can help give you even more favorable switches and frustrate your opponents by keeping their special attackers hopelessly at bay. The best strategy for using Blissey is to switch it in as frequently as you feel comfortable. Once it's in, use its support moves or even some offense to accrue more and more damage on your opponent's side of the field. Blissey's special attack is somewhat poor, but it's not useless. Plus, it can learn some great special attacks, and its coverage can surprise you. If not, it also has access to Seismic Toss, which is a straight 100 damage to anything, regardless of its stats, assuming, of course, it's not a ghost. Blissey has dropped in usage a bit lately with the increase in physical offensive threats, but it's still the premier special wall in the game. It's one of about 6 Pokemon in the entire metagame that require special consideration before even going into battle, or else it will just beat you by itself. But by the same token, Blissey can be an amazing asset to your team with its toughness and its utility. If you don't learn to love it, you'll probably end up hating it. That is, if you don't hate it already. But it takes such good care of your team at the Pokemon Center. Plus, how can you hate a face like that? If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for any future videos, leave them in the comments below. If you are interested in participating in our online Pokemon League, click the link in the description for more information.